hope he's doing the right thing.
Well, he could have stayed another 5 years, but that would only increase his pension by £1 a week.
Which at the present going rate would only have bought him 3 loaves of bread.
I think he was fat enough already.
Oh, look, he's left his farewell key.
Oh, look, he's left his teeth marks in it.
Isn't it marvellous? 60 years faithful service, and the only sign that he's passed this way are his teeth marks in a bun. Makes you think, doesn't it?
When you go, Mr. Humphreys, what do you think you'll leave behind?
I haven't really thought. I expect my aftershave will linger on my bill pad for a couple of sailors. After that, nothing.
Oh, what a depressing conversation.
Yes, I agree, and it isn't like that. It isn't just teeth marks in a cake. Think of all the happy memories he left behind.
Yes, let's each think of a happy memory.
Well, what sort of a memory?
Well, anything that he did or said that was unforgettable.
Whom?
The old assistant we've just given this farewell party for.
Oh, him. He never said anything unforgettable.
Oh, he must have done.
Well, if he did, I'm damned if I can remember it.
I remember something.
Good. You see, when you try, it all comes flooding back. What was it?
He used to shovel his custard up like a bucket dredger.
Well, that's awful.
Here, who do you think's going to get the job?
Well, names have been mentioned on the 6th floor.
Whose?
I'm not at liberty to tell.
You mean you don't know?
As senior management, of course I know.
Well, if you don't tell us who it is, we'll never know whether you knew or not, will we?
Very well. But you must treat this as strictly confidential. They're going to advertise for a new man.
Well, that's the limit. I've been here 16 years, man and boy. Mostly boy. At least you'd think they'd have the courtesy to pay me the compliment of considering me.
Yes, instead of casting you aside like a wrinkled old tomato found going mouldy at the back of the fridge.
Oh, Mr. Lucas, there must be something else that's cast aside that's more attractive than that.
Mr. Humphreys, the post they're advertising is the junior.
He can't do that, I'm the junior.
Well, Mr. Grace, in his wisdom, has decreed that you will be taking over from Mr. Humphreys.
Mr. Humphreys?
Well, where's Mr. Humphreys going?
Mr. Humphreys is to be the new senior.
No.
Yes.
You're joking.
I'm not.
Cross your heart and hope to die.
Scout's honor.
I'm so happy. Oh, it started me leg off. Oh, this hasn't happened to me since I was a prefect in my primary.
Is there anything we can do to stop it?
No, it's all right. It'll turn to hiccups in a minute. No, I told you.
Now what do we do?
Well, my teacher, Miss Haswell, she used to get one of the boys to creep up behind me and give me a surprise.
Did it work?
No, but he still writes to me from...
Are they feeling better now?
Oh, yes, they're much better, yes. You know, it always happens just before a storm. My brain picks up the electrical vibrations and sends a message down to my bunions and they start throbbing.
But it's a lovely day. The storm was last night.
Yeah, but it takes a long time to get a message to any part of my brain.
Drat, my suspender's gone.
That message got through quickly enough.
Because it didn't have so far to go. Hello?
Rumbold here, sir. I'm afraid I must have a decision. You were going to make up your mind as to whether Mr. Humphreys was taking over as senior salesman. Now, the question is he or isn't he?
People have been asking me that for years.
Well, I think we should put him on probation.
I didn't know the case had come up. Anyway, I can't stop here chatting with you. I'm in hot water with my nurse.
Well, what do you think, sir?
More hot water, sir.
Yes?
Thank you, sir.
There you are, Doc. I think you'll find that's all right now.
Yes, would you leave now, Mr. Harmon? I have a meeting to discuss a confidential matter.
Oh, I see. Just because I'm a humble member of the packing and maintenance department, I'm not supposed to know what the higher echelon is talking about.
Well, you could put it
We're
like
outside, sir.
that. People who knock usually are. Come in.
Seeing as this is a confidential meeting, I shall wipe from my mind the fact that I have seen you. I'm sorry.
Now, I have some news for you regarding the vacancy on the men's counter. I have been officially authorised to offer the post to Mr. Humphreys.
May I be the first to congratulate you, Mr. Humphreys?
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations indeed.
Thank you.
It's not often a man of your age gets this position. How does it feel?
He says he's very happy. Could he please go and phone his mother?
What did he say then?
I don't know.
I said, is there any more money?
You will receive grade H4B with increment and London waiting.
How much is that?
Oh, that is between Mr. Humphreys and the management, but I do have the figure written down here. Now, this will of course leave a gap in the men on the counter, and there have been numerous discussions at boardroom level as to who should take over Mr. Humphreys' position. It was suggested that we should ask Mr. Humphreys if Mr. Lucas is capable. The question is he ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
We weren't asking you, Mr. Lucas.
Perhaps it'd be more to the point if you asked me what I think. But I don't think he's ready for it.
Captain Peacock, as senior assistant, I think it's up to me to decide whether he's ready for it.
I entirely agree with Mr. Humphreys. And I don't want the fact that I'm Mr. Humphreys' best friend to influence him one way or the other.
You're not, and it won't.
Well, is he ready for it?
Let me put it this way. He's as ready as he'll ever be. I do believe in giving youth a chance.
Mr. Lucas, you have the post, and here is your increase. Pound is not to be sneezed at.
May I ask who will be taking Mr. Lucas's place?
We shall advertise in the press saying that we need a worthy replacement for Mr. Lucas.
Well, in that case, may I suggest an advertisement in the agony column of the Beano?
On behalf of the ladies' department, may I congratulate you on your promotion, Mr. Humphreys. You were always a cut above the rest. I'm glad you've got on.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Slocombe. You'll forgive me if I don't make a speech. It's been a very emotional morning.
It's not over yet, Mr. Humphreys. You have to take your place at the counter, in the senior position.
Here we go. I feel like a bride walking down the aisle. Oh, look, all the floors worn away where the seniors have stood.
Handing over ceremony, Mr. Harmon.
Your Honour.
Yeah. Your fitter's pincushion. Your chalk for made-to-measure fittings. And, of course, your tape. Not in the pocket, Mr. Humphreys. The senior assistant is allowed to wear it around his neck.
Oh. My leg's gone again.
Mr. Lucas, you too have a new position to take up.
Of course.
That's the easiest quid you've ever earned.
We expect to have some candidates for the new post by Thursday. Mr. Rumbold is most anxious that the new man should fit into the team, so he'd like us all to stay behind after closing time that evening to interview the applicants. It's now time for the assistant salesman's tea break. Where are you going, Mr. Humphreys?
My tea break, Captain Peacock.
You're not the assistant, Mr. Humphreys. You're the senior.
When's the senior's tea break?
An hour ago. You missed him.
Not all roses at the top, is it?
Now, the candidates are all in my office, so, Mr. Harmon, if you'll introduce them for us, we can begin.
Very good, sir. Warwick's going to give me a hand. You standing by, Warwick?
I'm standing by.
Call in Mr. Webster.
Calling Mr. Webster.
Mr. Rodney Webster, 26 years with Derry and Toms, covering haberdashery, stationery and notions. 10 years with Pontings in fabrics. 2 years at Gabbage's in garden sheds. Recently working at the Bow Wow pet shop, Tooting Broadway, temporarily unemployed.
Mr. Webster, how old are you?
Eh?
How old are you?
48.
And why did you leave your position at the pet shop?
I was savaged by a hamster.
You do look rather delicate, Mr. Webster. Do you think you're up to an 8-hour day?
You can't sit down, you know.
Oh, this is the first time I've sat down since I was savaged by that hamster.
How's your product knowledge?
What's that?
Well, can you tell me how the following differ one from another? Nylon, Orlon, Banlon, and Tygon.
I haven't got the job, have I?
Well, we do have one or two more people to see.
Well, how shall we leave it then?
We'll let you know.
Oh, God bless you, sir. Thank you very much. I live in a packing case in Covent Garden. You can't miss it. It's got bananas written over it. Oh, yes. And it's the only one with a chimney.
That could be any one of us.
After all those years at Derry and Tom's to be reduced to that.
Oh, go after him, Mr. Harmon, and see if he'd like a cup of tea in the canteen.
He's been here since 3 o'clock. He's had 4 shepherd's pies, 15 cups of tea and a apple crumble. Then he did a song and dance with spoons and collected 6 quid, so I reckon he's all...
Well, next, please.
Very good. Call him Mr. Beauchamp.
Calling Mr. Beauchamp.
Mr. Beauchamp has been employed by the following firm.
It's pronounced Beecham.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, and I'll give you a resume of my career myself, if you don't mind. Well, now, I've worked in simply oodles of shops, mostly continental, including Fashion des Hommes of Woking. And then I was at Maison Jacques of St. Albans for 5 ghastly years. And then Boutique Bon Marché at Bognor Regis. Oh, how brown we got. But I think I reached my peak at Harrods in men's undies. Oh, what bliss. The lights, the music, the security cameras, the tycoons with their cigars, the bargaining Arabs jostling with each other joyfully. Oh, what a cosmopolitan, colourful world. Well, I was blown to believe it.
Well, you won't find anything like that at Grace Brothers. Thank you. We'll let you know.
I see. Thank you very much indeed.
Why did you get rid of him so quickly?
Well, we don't want people like that here.
Can we have the next one, please?
There isn't a next. That was it.
But there were half a dozen candidates in my office.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, one of them went through your drawers and found your payslip. And I reckon if that's how much you got, they'd be on starvation level. Shut up.
But all the ones we saw was too old for a junior.
Yes, but we didn't put junior in the advertisement. You see, the word junior would have cost another £4, and young Mr. Grace has to draw the line somewhere.
Oh, well, we can all go home then, can't we?
I'm not too late, am I?
Well, it depends what you've come for.
Well, I've come to fulfill the vacancy in reply to the advertisement. Oh, I see you've got plenty of applicants here already.
I beg your pardon. We are the staff.
What a mistake to make before I've even started. Shall I go?
No, of course not. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
That is our senior sales lady, Mrs. Slocombe.
Oh, charming. It's an honour to meet you.
Miss Browns, her junior.
Her assistant.
Delightful.
Mr. Lucas, senior assistant.
A smart young man.
And Mr. Humphreys, head of the men's department.
So high up, so young.
So far, so good.
Finally, our floor.
Don't tell me. I know that face. I'm going back 35 years. I'm a Catholic. I walk into a Nissen hut, and there you are, standing on your bed in your shirt tails with your hat on. Corporal Peacock.
It was you, wasn't it?
I was at Catterick in my early days, yes, and I was a corporal for a few weeks.
A few weeks? When we went to Egypt together, you were still a corporal. We both got a cushy job in the cookhouse. Is it coming back now?
I think it's going further away.
You remember me, Harry Goldberg?
I have no recollection of ever seeing you in my life before.
I'm sorry. The memory does play funny tricks. It was a long time ago. I've obviously made a mistake.
This gentleman is Captain Peacock, who actually fought hand-to-hand with Rommel's army.
Oh. We always wondered what he did in his spare time. Captain Peacock, is it? Yeah. No. This one could never have become a captain. No. Couldn't have been you, sir. I'm sorry.
Well, now we've got that sorted out, can we get on? I've got to get home. If my pussy isn't attended to by 8 o'clock, I shall be stroking it for the rest of the evening.
Have I come at an awkward moment?
No, indeed not. You're the last candidate. Perhaps we could hear your qualifications.
Well, I've had a lot of experience in the retail and clothing trade. I'm a qualified cutter and fitter, and I had my own establishment for some years.
Oh, why did you give it up?
Perhaps the wheels fell off his barrow.
Oh, great sense of humour. Well, should I be lucky enough to get the job, I shall enjoy working here.
So, you had your own place. Would we know it?
Well, I doubt it. It was over a fish and chip shop in Bermondsey. Mind you, everyone knew my suits.
By the aroma of fish and chips?
No, by the cut.
Yes, but if it was so successful, why did you give it up?
The fat caught fire. There was a conflagration, taking the whole of my stock with it. I was ruined.
Oh, when did this happen?
Yesterday.
I'm afraid we omitted to put in our advertisement that the post on offer was that of a junior.
Junior, senior. I mean, it's such a beautiful surroundings here, and to work among such nice people would be a privilege.
And that is the salary.
A day?
A week.
Are you working for an award for fighting inflation?
On top of that, you do get commission.
And, of course, it is regular, and there are holidays and a pension.
I'll take it. But should I be lucky enough to secure the appointment?
Well, if you leave your address, we'll let you know.
Oh, yeah, I have my card.
Oh.
There we are. Fortunately, the letterbox is still standing. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I mistook you for someone I spent 4 years with. Sleeping in the same tent, eating the same food, doing the same jankers. Strange the tricks the mind can play.
Because I think he's totally unsuitable.
Well, it's the best we've seen so far.
I preferred Mr. Beecham.
You didn't, did you, Mr. Humphreys?
I most certainly did not, Mr. Lucas.
Well, of course, it's just a personal dislike on Mr. Humphrey's part. Let's have a show of hands. Those in favour of Mr. Beecham.
Against? I'm afraid the noes have it.
I must say my heart went out to that charming old gentleman who came in first.
Well, the one who's dossing down in a packing case in Covent Garden?
I have never thought that a man's background should be held against him. I mean, he was willing, he had a nice smile, he was courteous.
And he wasn't in the army.
That has nothing to do with it.
Oh, well, in that case, let's pick the last one and go home.
All those in favour?
Carried unanimously.
Except for Corporal Peacock.
Good morning, Captain Peacock.
I know nothing that's good about Monday morning.
Here.
I've heard you got a new junior. Is he tall, dark, handsome and sexy?
No, he's shortish, stoutish and greyish.
Just my type. Come to think of it, anything's my type. Even you. Come on, Ethel.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Captain Peacock.
Morning, Corporal.
Miss Brown, let's nip this in the bud right now. That man was mistaken. My title is Captain Peacock, and as junior you will continue to address me as such. Now sign the book and get to your counter.
Yes, Captain.
You are quite right to admonish her. She gets far too familiar. Strictly between you and me, were you in the army with Mr. Goldberg?
It was 35 years ago, Mrs. Slocombe. Can you remember who you worked with at Lyons when you were a nippy?
Promised you'd never mention that to a living soul. Anyway, it was only 4 weeks, and I was very hard up, and it was a corner house.
What's a nippy, Mrs. Slocombe?
Oh, good morning, Mr. Lucas.
Good morning, Corporal. Captain Peacock.
Yes, I'm glad to see that your new responsibility has encouraged you to come in on time.
Yes, well, with the extra £1 a week I'm getting, I can now afford to come on the bus instead of hitchhiking.
Morning, all.
Good morning, Mr. Humphrey.
Blimey, he's taking it seriously. He's got your senior assistant Goldberg. That must have set him back a bit.
You look very smart, Mr. Humphreys.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Slocombe. As a matter of fact, my mother burst into tears on the doorstep this morning.
Oh, I expect that was because she was so proud of you.
Yes, coupled with the fact that I'd spent the milk money on a new act.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Mr. Goldberg.
My first day. It's very exciting for me. Where should I put my coat?
Well, the juniors, Peg. It's through that passage.
Thank you.
I'll take it for you, Mr. Goldberg.
Call me Harry.
No, call him Mr. Goldberg. At Grace Brothers, we are only on first-name terms outside working hours, and then only after a long association.
Yeah, that's quite correct. That's class, style. That's how a beautiful store like this gets its reputation. Where do I stand?
You don't. You sign the book first. You'll find a tape and a bill pad in your drawer. You will not, however, wear the tape round your neck. Only Mr. Humphreys is allowed that privilege. Mr. Humphreys and Mr. Lucas will explain your duties to you. I have to go and see Mr. Rumbold. That's the opening bell.
Oh, thank heavens. I thought it was the fat caught alight again.
Attention, everyone. The public will be coming in.
He's a right tartar, isn't he? Mind you, so was the man who he isn't.
That's what authority does to people.
Yes, but it's not going to do it to me. I'm going to stay the same kind, understanding. I've never seen anything so disgraceful as that glove drawer, Mr. Lucas. Get it tidied up at once.
Well, I was just totaling up my month's figures.
Well, you should have done that last week.
The battery on my calculator went.
Mr. Lucas, please, would you allow me?
Oh,
would
thanks
you?
very much.
Thank you very much. There we are. Here. Now, hey, there we are. You see? Simple. Now, if you, I'll tidy your drawers if you show me my duties.
There's just one thing. As far as the commission is concerned, that's calculated on our individual sales at the end of the week. So therefore, when the customers come in, I get first crack, Mr. Lucas goes second, and you go third.
Suppose they ask for me personally.
Well, that won't arise until you've built up a clientele.
But wouldn't you rather split the commission 3 ways at the end of the week?
No, thank you, no. This is the way we've always done it, and this is the way we're going to carry on, right, Mr. Lucas?
Entirely, Mr. Humphreys.
So be it.
Nice place you're coming on in the world.
Beautiful merchandise, Harry. Classy material. Competitive prices and all, eh?
Yeah.
Here, you give 5% off for cash.
5%? Here, none of that, no. This is strictly on the level. No discount.
Yeah, I heard about the fire.
Hey,
Hey?
I thought the fire wasn't until next week.
I brought it forward.
I'll have this Vicuna coat.
That's £500.
Hey, Harry, have you got 6 of these silk shirts in my size?
That makes it 650.
That's a classy suit. Just what I'm looking for.
That's £800.
Harry, I'd like a crocodile briefcase, matching shoes in black. I'm going to a funeral.
Hey, that's 1,200 quid. Think of the commission.
Think of this commission. Can we be of any assistance?
Start wrapping these things up before the hackney mob get in. Now, you'll need some cufflinks to go with those shirts. Mister, put some cufflinks with these shirts. Thank you. And some socks. You'll need some socks to go with that suit. It's a very unusual colour. Socks, Mr. Lucas.
How many?
How many? 2. How many does a person wear?
Figures have been very good, Rumbold.
They have indeed, sir. Best week of the year. Of course, this is partly due to the presence of our new counterhand.
Well, what about giving him a nice rise? Say 7 and 6 a week.
We'll have to do rather more than that, sir. In fact, he wants more money than our senior salesman. Otherwise, we're going to lose him.
Well, pay him.
Well, if I do that, sir, Captain Peacock has threatened to lead a walkout.
Well, sort it out, Rumbold.
Enter.
May we see you for a moment, Mr. Rumbold?
Certainly. What's the trouble?
We just want to make it absolutely clear that we have no intention of walking out with Captain Peacock. And I am unanimous in that. We like Mr. Goldberg.
Yeah, he's taking her to the pictures tonight.
But if I pay him the money he's asking, I'll have to make him senior salesman.
Oh, well, I don't mind that. At his age, he ought to be senior salesman. Besides, I don't think I'm temperamentally suited for it. You know, I haven't slept for a week. Getting silver threads amongst the gold.
We don't mind going back to our old wages because he's sharing his commission with us.
But I can't promote Mr. Goldberg without the consent of Captain Peacock.
Well, Mr. Goldberg says he might be able to arrange that.
I understand you won't be with us next week, Mr. Goldberg. Very regrettable.
Yes, well, I would like to have stayed, but I gather there was some very strong opposition from senior executive.
Indeed, what a pity.
Yeah, so I thought, well, I'd like to leave a little memento of me to the staff. And I was looking in an old scrapbook, and would you believe it, I found this photo of me with that corporal I so foolishly thought was you. Yeah. It's very interesting. In fact, if you looked at it through this magnifying glass, you'll see that on Corporal Peacock's right arm, there's a motto. And it says a tattoo. And it says, death before dishonor. Tattoo marks are very difficult to get rid of, Captain Peacock.
Actually impossible.
Yeah, so I thought the staff would like to have this photo if I go. Should I stay? I would like you to have it.
Captain Peacock, may we have a word with you? It's about Mr. Goldberg.
Ah, yes. Well, I've just been having a little tete-a-tete with him, and I think it would be to the advantage of us all if he were to stay with us.
Oh, splendid.
How can I ever thank you?
There we are, madam. 1 disco fever dancing skirt and 1 pair of fluorescent tights. Oh, and I wonder if I could interest you in a pair of these, Miss Bronze. Every pair has a different note.
So if you lose your partner in the dark, all you've got to do is shake it about and he'll find you by your tingling.
That'll do, Miss Bronze.
Are you being served, madam?
No, not at the moment. I'm looking for a dressing gown for my husband.
Mr. Goldberg, are you free?
I'm sorry, Captain Peacock. I'm just stretching a bowler for this customer.
May I help you, madam?
No, Mr. Lucas. I have not called you forward. Now get back to your counter.
Sir.
Mr. Humphreys, are you free?
I'm free.
This lady requires a dressing gown for her husband.
What did Madam have in mind?
Well, it's our wedding anniversary.
Robes, please, Mr. Lucas.
Excuse me, Captain Peacock. Am I senior enough to assist Mr. Humphreys?
If Mr. Humphreys wishes for your assistance, he may have it.
Do you wish for my assistance, Mr. Humphreys?
I think it would be invaluable, Mr. Lucas.
Then you may have it, Mr. Humphreys. Room there!
This is our full range, madam. How tall is the lucky gentleman?
Oh, he's about your size.
He's not all that lucky, then, is he?
What length did you have in mind?
Yes, we have knee-high, thigh-high, and eye-high.
No, I like them round my ankles.
I expect your husband does as well.
They all look very nice, but I'm never quite sure what men like.
No, it is a bit of a puzzle sometimes.
Speaking as a man, which do you think?
Well, I would say...
This is a rather nice one.
We also have some fun slogans, madam, which you can have embroidered on the back at very short notice.
Thank you. These are very popular with honeymoon couples. You can have I did it my way. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Here's my husband.
Well, we've got just the one for him, haven't we, Mr. Humphrey?
We have. Little things mean a lot.
If you don't mind, I'll think about it.
Well, certainly, madam. Just let me know when you've finished.
I think I'd rather decide at home, if you don't mind.
Well, certainly. Only don't be too long. The price may go up on Wednesday. Ooh, I hate people like that wasting my time.
I know, we was having ever such a nice gossip till she come in. I don't know about these, though. I don't think we'll sell many. I mean, what sort of person's going to buy them?
Well, possibly someone who's going to a dance tonight at the social club and wishes to create a stir.
You don't mean...
Isn't it rather nice to have friends to rely upon? You must have friends.
Mr. Harmon, take that chair away.
I'm sorry, Captain Peacock, but the order to put that chair there was given me by a higher authority.
Mr. Rumbold?
No, not Mr. Rumbold, and I do not have to tell you to whom it was.
Mr. Harmon, I will not have you speaking to me like that in front of the staff.
It's too late now. They've heard.
For the last time, I'm instructing you to tell me who ordered you to put that chair there.
You're getting like the Gestapo, you is. Really like the Gestapo. I mean to say, when we come into power, I will be the one what asks the questions. And you better get some good answers ready.
Captain Peacock.
Not when I am admonishing Mr. Harmon. In that case, Mr. Harmon, I shall report this incident and deal with the matter myself.
Captain Peacock, have you gone mad? You did that deliberately.
Quite right, sir. I was a witness. He tried to assassinate the founder of the store.
I can't apologize enough, sir. I had no idea it was for you.
You only had to ask me nicely, and I would have told you.
These kind of pranks are very dangerous, Peacock.
Yes, I think a very severe reprimand, sir.
Oh, reprimand's not enough.
No, quite right. An assassination attempt deserves a sack.
Perhaps we should take away a privilege, sir.
It's a very good idea, yes. Remove his flower.
About time he was deflowered.
Certainly, sir.
One moment, Mr. Rumbold. I must protest. I paid for this flower out of my own pocket, as I do every morning.
Captain Peacock, although you pay for the flower yourself, it is a privilege for you to wear it on the floor. I am therefore removing that privilege.
You've all done very well.
Thank you, Mr. Grace.
Excuse me, sir. You came down here to tell them about the health scheme.
Health scheme?
The one we worked out in the office, sir. Shall I tell them of the latest developments?
Oh, yes, you'd better. I'll make a mess of it.
Oh, I wish he'd get on. My leg's gone to sleep.
What was that?
Mrs. Slocombe's tingling knickers. They're for discos.
My girls are very fond of them.
Well, now that it's out, I bought a pair. I use it as a burglar alarm.
Oh, go on, shake it about then. I can't hear anything.
Oh, neither can I. Do you think somebody broke in when I wasn't looking?
May we return to the subject of this meeting?
Yes. Now, the Grace Brothers have worked out a pension bonus scheme, which will give you all a lump sum on retirement. The amount will vary according to your age now, but I can give you some examples.
Mr. Rumbold, I hope you're not going to divulge our ages in public.
I wouldn't be so indiscreet, Mrs. Slocombe. But, of course, the younger ones will fare best. Now, Mr. Lucas and Miss Brahms will qualify for the full amount of £3,000. Mr. Humphreys, 2,100. Captain Peacock is the next youngest and will receive 1,700. Mrs. Slocombe is next. Oh, where's that figure?
Oh, Mrs. Slocombe, I wonder how much you're going to get.
Well, there's not all that much difference between Captain Peacock and myself, age-wise.
Yes. Captain Peacock, 1,700. Mrs. Slocombe, 700. Mr. Goldberg, £21.52.
Provided he lasts to the end of the week.
Well, now, Grace Brothers are paying for this scheme, providing, of course, you pass the medical examination, which will be in 2 weeks' time.
May I say this is a very generous gesture on your part, sir.
I knew he'd say something pompous like that.
On the other hand, if you don't pass the medical examination, you will have to pay for the scheme yourself, or, of course, not take part in it at all.
Mr. Rumbold, may one inquire who will be the examining doctor?
Oh, Mr. Grace's personal physician, who is not only highly regarded as a diagnostician, but who also happens to be homeopathic.
Oh, there's something to look forward to. Just cabbage. You've not become a vegetarian, have you?
I intend to get a clean bill of health at the medical examination. And too much meat gives you blood pressure.
If you get through all that cabbage, you'll have more pressure than you can handle.
Well, I read somewhere that you are what you eat.
Yeah. Just how long have you been eating sour grapes and ugly fruit?
About as long as you've been eating sheep's brains and pig's head.
Now. Argument can bring on acid indigestion. And we all want to be fit for that medical.
Yes, you're quite right, Captain Peacock. Just think, when I'm 65, I shall get 3,000 quid. If I'm lucky, that'll be enough to buy a wheelchair and a pair of crutches.
Isn't it amazing how these youngsters think? Once you're over 60, you're only fit for the scrap heap. Well, I'm over 60, and I still keep going. Not for so long, but I still keep going.
You know, I was at my best when I was 25. I took this yoga class. After 2 weeks, I could put me ankles behind my head and walk round on my hands. I remember thinking that'll come in useful one day.
Did it?
Well, when you're standing at the bus stop like that, you soon get to the front of the queue.
What happens if you leave Grace Brothers before you're 65? Do you get a refund?
Are you thinking of leaving, Miss Brahms?
Well, with any luck, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life in this dump.
Yes, she might be going to be hearing wedding bells.
Oh, is she thinking of taking digs near the church, then?
Some people do ask girls to marry them. It's not all men who are only after a quick fumble by the fire exit.
Oh, that's where you take them.
Everything you say is full of innuendo and double entendre.
You've been watching Mastermind again.
I suggest that we need an intensive course to get as fit as we possibly can for that medical.
Yeah. And I intend to get up early every morning and go jogging. And with a bit of luck, I'll get Mrs. Goldberg at it as well.
I should do one thing at a time if I were.
What we need is to go to a gymnasium with an instructor and have a proper course.
That could be expensive. I mean, some of those courses cost about £60.
Yeah, and as I'm only getting £21.52, I'll be on a dead duck.
Dancers are fit.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Well, I've got a friend who's a dancer. They'd probably give us a class for next to nothing.
Well, what sort of dancing does he do?
What makes you think it's a him? My friend's a lady ballet dancer.
I don't want to be a ballet dancer.
Well, you're not going to be. But they do some marvellous exercises. That's what gives them the big muscles.
Yeah, I did ballet once. It's like keep fit to music, and you have to put your leg up on the bar.
Oh, well, Mrs. Slocombe's already trained for that at the local.
How much would your friend charge?
Oh, not very much. I did her a favour once.
May one ask what?
I showed her something that altered her whole life.
What was that?
Well, let me put it this way. She can't half get to the front of a bus queue quick.
Straight through there, take the fourth door on the right. The gentlemen in the bedding department have already got their clothes off and they're waiting for you.
Oh. Who was that?
That's the doctor what's doing the examining. When's your turn?
Next week, which doesn't leave us much time. Come on.
Hang on a minute. Why am I doing this?
She's homeopathic.
Oh, thanks for reminding me.
All right, miss, I've got the practice bar in place. I'll put a piano over there, and Mr. Gillespie from the music department is going to play for us.
Ah, thank you.
Right.
Hurry up, class. We've only got half an
I can't bend down to do up my shoes.
Yes, well, you're going to have to get someone to help you, aren't you? Mr. Lucas?
Right.
I am the Fairy Queen, and now I must retire. I would have waved, and no one's pulled my wire.
Stop fooling about, Mr. Luke. Come and do up my shoes.
Come on, Mrs. Slocombe, they're ready.
Don't say a word, Mr. Lucas.
I wasn't going to say anything, Mrs. Slocombe. I had something else on my mind, actually. I was just thinking it's about time Arsenal got a couple of new fullbacks.
If your brains was dynamite, you still wouldn't have enough to blow your ears off.
Personally, I'm still convinced that we should have worn tracksuits.
Yes, well, it would have cost another £8, and young Mr. Grace was reluctant to go to those lengths.
Well, I must say I'm reluctant to go to these lengths. Are we all gathered?
Yes, except for Mr. Humphreys.
Darling! Oh, you look divine.
And you look so young. I adore your perfume.
I adore your aftershave.
Darling. Oh, darling. Do you remember when we last met?
Oh, it's all coming back to me. You were in Swan Lake. It seems like only yesterday. Ching, 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 ching. Bum, 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 biddy, bum, 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 biddy, bum, 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 bum.
If the principals have finished, can the chorus join in?
Oh, yes, of course. Take your place at the bar.
Sir Lucas, This is not your bar. That is your bar.
What's the difference?
This one is for management only.
I've been thrown out of better bars than this.
Right, everybody in fifth position.
What's that?
I know what the fifth position is.
I thought you might.
Like this, look.
Right, everybody follow me. And plie and down and up. And keep your legs quite beautifully turned out. And down to the floor and watch those rolling ankles. Very nice. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And 1 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Now this is beautiful, Slocombe. And up and down and up. Something a little more ambitious. It's very simple. It just keep it light and gay.
I'll do the light bit.
Claiborne, darling, do you remember that step we did in Swan Lake?
Oh, I do.
Well, let's improvise on that then. Little turn out. Lovely. You haven't lost it, have you, darling?
Not lately.
On me. And 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. That's right, boys.
Got today?
The staff from the ladies and gentlemen's department.
Can you get the men in and they can undress behind there as usual?
I'm afraid the dressing gowns haven't come back from the laundry yet.
I'm going that way. I'll see what's happened.
Come in, please.
Thank you, nurse.
Where's the doctor?
She'll be back in a jiffy. There's a cupboard there. Take your clothes off.
Oh, I'll go first.
Mr. Goldberg, you're supposed to put your clothes in the cupboard, not yourself.
Why can't I undress in the open? I didn't do that in front of Mrs. Goldberg until we were married 25 years.
What did she say?
She said, isn't it funny what things you see when you haven't got a gun?
Now, if you feel shy, you can go behind the screen.
We're shy.
Come along, Mr. Lucas, get on with it. When I was in the army, we had to strip off in the barracks all the time.
I expect that's where the expression came from, barrack naked.
My brother goes to one of those nudist colonies. Nobody's allowed to wear a stitch except the chef. And he wears a metal apron for when he's chopping parsley.
Right, now just take all your clothes and put them in the cupboard. All I need now are some hangers. I shan't be a minute. Come along now, everything.
required to remove your clothes.
Who said?
The nurse, get behind here.
All right. I'm not going any further until you turn and face the other way.
I'm not turning to face the other way.
Hurry up, the nurse will be back in a minute.
Where's she going?
She's gone to get us some hangers.
The alarm's working. It's chilly for the time of year.
I wish that nurse would hurry up with the dressing gowns.
Well, if you're embarrassed, we'll talk about something totally unconnected with our present situation.
Yeah.
Sooner the better.
Well, Mrs. Goldberg is cooking a hot pot for supper tonight.
That's very interesting.
Yes, well, I mentioned it because I promised to buy the vegetables in the food department.
What are you getting?
Frozen sprouts.
2 out of 10.
Is this where we see the doctor?
Yes, but she's not here yet.
I'm sure there are not supposed to be two sexes in the same room at once.
Why not? There was 2 sexes in the room before we come in.
Why are you all hiding behind that screen?
Because we've got no clothes on.
It's not often we get you at a disadvantage, Captain Peacock.
I'm not at a disadvantage.
She hasn't looked behind the screen yet.
Shall we have a peek?
Well, we're not likely to get another opportunity.
Keep away, Mrs. Slocombe.
You heard what he said? Keep away, that's an order!
Ah, you're all talk when you've got your trousers on, but now you're losing your bottle.
Captain Peacock, I have less to lose than most of you, but I don't think we should stand here and be insulted.
I quite agree, Mr. Humphreys. Right. Squad, left, turn. Left wheel, double, march.
Here's the medical report for the ladies and gents department, sir. They'll all be up in a moment to know the results. Oh, and Mr. Harmon will be there as well.
What's he want?
Well, he's got the report on your office furniture. You wanted to insure it. And you do have some lovely antiques here, don't you, sir?
What do you mean, antiques? They were all new when I first came here.
Is everybody here? Right, line up in order of seniority.
Would you mind waiting out here? Mr. Grace will see you in a moment or two.
Oh, shut up.
Thank you.
Pull your skirt down.
Well, how did you get on, Mr. Goldberg?
Well, the doctor shook her head a lot.
She nodded at me.
They never tell you nothing, do they?
She said I was in very good shape for a man of 70.
Well, that should have made you happy.
It didn't. I'm 63.
I think she's got something wrong with her teeth. All the time she was examining me, she was going...
Well, you've got nothing to worry about.
Friends, isn't it, Albert? Blimey, the lost tribe. Harmon here, sir, with the report you requested.
Now, come in.
That'll be our medical reports.
Oh, come on, let's have a listen.
We shall do no such thing, Mr. Lucas. On the other hand, if we should overhear, well, that's another matter.
I can't find my spectacles. You read it.
Yes. Now, this is the oldest.
The bow front with the short legs.
That'll be you, Mr. Goldberg.
I want to hear. The top's in very good condition. Bit of dry rot in the legs. Oh. And the knob's going to fall off.
What about that pretty little piece?
Well, that must be you, Miss Brahms.
Well, it certainly won't be you.
Outwardly in very good condition. Unfortunately, it's got a screw loose. Oh, the knockers aren't genuine. That brings me to this one here.
Oh, the big chest.
Yeah. Once used by a lot of soldiers. There was a lot of odd things found in the drawers. But once removed, you could plainly see the ravages of time. Oh, and there's rising damp in the bottom. Now we come to the poof. Outwardly in very good condition, a bit older than it looks. A bit saggy in the middle. Probably worth hanging on to if you're prepared to have it stuffed.
Genuine hard-wearing Barothea.
How much is it again?
It's £120. Now, I know you may think that's expensive, but let me point out one or two details. There's the hand-stitched lapels. The last two buttons on the cuffs are fully operational. You wouldn't get that on a cheap jacket, would you, Mr. Lucas?
No, you wouldn't, Mr. Humphreys. The buttons were just stitched on.
How does the back look?
Oh, it's very snug at the back, sir, but you've got such broad shoulders.
How about a pine paisley scarf to go around the neck?
How much is it?
£14. But look, oh, yes, that does set off the neck, doesn't it, Mr. Lucas?
Oh, yes, it does, Mr. Humphreys, and the hand stitching and the buttons on the cuff.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas.
This stick looks rather nice. How much is that?
Oh, that's our special offer, sir. £3.20 genuine wooden ash.
I like it.
Ah, good morning, sir. I'm sorry I wasn't here to attend to you myself. I've just been to the cloakroom. May I say, sir, how much that jacket suits you? Oh, it's an exemplary fit. Congratulations, Mr. Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg. The gentleman's also taking the pine paisley scarf.
And the ash walking stick.
Yeah, oh, I should say the ash walking stick would be more suitable with a tweed jacket. Now, this one, for example.
No, I do like that.
You like it? There you are. Try it on, sir. Please. Thank you. There we are.
This is a special offer, sir. This is £140.
You can buy the cotton wool to stuff in them on the ground floor.
Miss Brahms?
Yes, Captain Peacock.
There's still no sign of Mrs. Slocombe.
Well, she said she might be late this morning on account of she's shifting her flat. You should have given her the day off like she asked. She's going to be in a right state when she gets here.
Good morning, Captain Peacock. Yes. Oh, Pussy, do be Oh, the removal men have only just left.
I see you followed the van with your old cock lid.
I was was lucky to get a van at all with these lightning transport strikes.
Mrs. Slocombe, there is a strict rule that staff may not bring pets to the store.
Well, you know how clumsy those removal men are. I'm not having them handling my pussy. And if you take my advice, you'll keep away yourself. She's in a very disturbed state.
I happen to be very good with animals.
Hello, little pussy.
Well, I did warn you.
It bit me.
Well, she hasn't had her breakfast yet.
I suggest you put your menagerie out of sight and keep it there.
Oh, Miss Brahms, would you take them into the fitting room?
Don't be frightened, little pussy. It's only your Auntie Shirley. Oh!
Must have taken a weight off your mind to have completed your removal.
What do you mean completed it? All I've done is see the stuff on the van. All they've got to do is dump it. I'm the one that's got to sort it all out. I should have had 3 days off for this.
Believe me, I tried, but Mr. Rumbold wouldn't hear of it.
Ladies' intimate apparel. I said ladies' intimate apparel. All right, then knickers and knocker cupboard.
Mrs. Slocombe, supervisor, may I be of any assistance? Mr. Armstrong? Oh, it's the van driver. I've got what? I've got squatters in my new flat. Oh. Well, I mean, they can't squat on me. I mean, they've got to squat on people who live in council flats and millionaires. Well, what am I going to do with all my furniture? That wasn't a very helpful suggestion. No, I can't take it back to the old flat. The other people will have moved in now. I know. Can we leave it on the van? He's got another job at lunchtime. Well, you'll just have to give me a minute to think. Look, tell me your telephone number and then I can ring you back. Right, I've got it. What am I going to do? Who am I going to squat on?
Yes, well, I've had a word with Mr. Grace, and in view of your predicament, he is prepared to help.
And so I should hope. If I'd had the day off, I could have been in time and stopped this.
Well, all you had to do was ask.
I did, through Captain Peacock.
You remember I made the suggestion in the washroom, sir?
Yes, well, I couldn't hear very well through the door. Anyway, you should know by now that I close my ears to suggestions in the washroom. However, in view of the mix-up, young Mr. Grace has agreed that you may store your effects in Department 5B, which is on the top floor. It's vacant at the moment, pending refurbishment.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Rumbold. I'm very grateful.
Well, the contractors don't start work for a couple of weeks, so that should give you time to get yourself sorted out.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Mr. Rumbold.
Well, although we're a large organisation, we top executives do have hearts.
Oh, yes, I can see that. Well, I must tell the van driver where to deliver. May I use your phone?
Certainly not. Use the call box by the lift.
Oh, Mr. Lucas, may I have that piece of chicken you've left on your plate for my pussy?
Certainly.
Not with your fingers, Mr. Lucas. She's very particular.
Would your little companion like the head of my sardine?
No, thank you. She has very few teeth left, and her poor gums can't crunch the skulls.
That's why Mr. Goldberg didn't eat it.
How long is it going to take you to get rid of these squatters?
I don't know.
Well, where are you going to sleep tonight?
Well, I suppose I shall just have to go to an hotel.
Oh.
Unless, of course, one of my friends offers me accommodation. Well, of course, I'd help anybody out if they were stuck.
I'd like to ask you to my place, Mrs. Slocombe.
Oh, thank you, Captain Peacock, indeed, Janet.
Unfortunately, my wife is away visiting her sister, so we'd be alone in the house and there might be a lot of talk.
From all accounts, that's all there would be.
Well, we have a spare room.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg.
But unfortunately, last night the cold water tank sprang a leak, which brought down the ceiling all over the bed, taking with it The wiring which electrified the springs.
You never mentioned that this morning.
Well, it slipped my memory until this very minute.
Unfortunately, we haven't got a spare bed, but if you're really desperate, Mrs. Slocombe, you could always come and snuggle up with me.
I don't think so, Mr. Lucas.
If you're worried you couldn't control yourself, I could always put a bolster down the middle.
I don't think my being homeless is a subject for joking.
I quite agree, Mrs. Slocombe.
Oh, Mr. Humphreys, I knew that you'd be sympathetic.
What a pity I've got those 3 Pakistani nuns staying. Not only have they got the spare room, but they're on the sofa as well.
You didn't mention that this morning, Mr. Humphreys.
No, I forgot it while you were forgetting your sailing.
Which leaves you, Miss Browns.
Oh, well, I don't think I even mentioned it, but my brother's a rugby player.
You never even mentioned you had a brother.
Well, anyway, his team's got to set off early tomorrow for a big match, so they're staying the night at our place to be ready for the bus. You see, they usually go on the train, but with all the sudden strikes, they didn't want to take the risk. So anyway, that means we've got big, hairy, beer-drinking men in every room.
Oh, well, I've got the answer to that. Why don't you and Mrs. Slocombe go and have Mr. Humphrey's bed and he can have yours?
I can just picture it, brought down by a flying tackle as I take my teddy to the bathroom.
Excuse me, Mrs. Slocombe, your goods and chattels has just arrived and it's on the way up on the goods lift. Our men have been working right through to lunchtime, so if you could see them right with money.
Oh, yes. I'd better go and supervise.
It's the terrible thing to have happen at her time of life.
I don't think you showed up very well as friends. I rather feel that mine was the only genuine excuse.
What are you talking about? We really have got 15 rugby players staying the night.
Well, mine was nearly true. I mean, they will be nuns by the time we get to the fancy dress party.
What are you going as?
Well, I'm not sure. I discussed it with them. I might go as the Pope. But I won't know for certain till I get to the end of our road and see whether there's black or white smoke coming out my chimney.
Thank you, madam. If you want to change the garment, just bring it back with the receipt.
Oh, well, thank you.
Mrs. Slocombe, you've been about 2 hours. It really isn't good enough.
Well, I had to sort my things out.
You found anywhere to stay yet?
No, but I've had a marvellous idea. There's plenty of room. I'm going to stay in my flat.
You haven't got a flat.
Oh, yes, I have. There's lots of room on that floor. So, instead of piling my things up, I've set them all out just like they were at home. There's everything up there. Water, gas, plugs. It's self-contained.
Do you mean you're going to stay here in the store?
Why not?
What do you think they'll let you?
I'm going to ask Mr. Grace personally. All you've got to do is flutter your eyelashes and cross your legs. And he's like putty.
Well, at his age, he's like Patty all the time. Still, if you're going to try fluttering your eyelashes, you better have these Cleopatra extra long de-loops.
What do you want?
There's someone to see Mr. Grace.
Well, you can't disturb him now. I'm exhausted just trying to get him to sleep.
But it's very important.
Well, on your own head be it, but wake him gently.
Good evening, Grace.
Oh, where am I?
I'm sorry to have to wake you.
So I hope it's important. I was in the middle of a very nice dream. You look very good in the Girl Guides uniform.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Grace. Mrs. Slocombe would like a word with you now.
Oh, very well. Tell her I'll give her a few moments.
Mr. Grace will see you now, Mrs. Slocombe.
Oh, it's very good of you to see me, Mr. Grace, when you're so busy.
Not at all. Please sit down. What can I do for you? Now, you want a rise, I see.
No, Mr. Grace, you don't understand. It's not that what I came for.
Good, because I wasn't going to give you one.
No, I want permission to sleep on your premises.
You're very determined about this rise, aren't you? Oh, very well. You can bring one small bag and your nightie, and you'll have to go very early in the morning before the servants come.
No, Mr. Grace, you don't understand. You see, this... Come on then, pet. there you are, little sweetheart. Isn't it nice to be back in your usual corner? Oh, Pussy, it's lovely to be at home again.
Hey, I wired it up to the juice, and I've connected the gas stove so you can boil a kettle.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Harmon. Well, I seem to have everything except a front door.
Oh, hang about. Warwick?
Hello?
Get Sam with that wall unit, will you? Have it over here. Left over from Grace Brothers' ideal home display. Give it to me. Can you manage?
Yeah.
Or shall I fetch up Tearbold to give you a hand? You can manage, can you? He's eating big with Stafford, you see. I can't...
Oh, isn't that lovely? Now I've got somewhere to put my doormat.
There's somewhere to put the cat out as well. How many pints of milk do you want in the morning?
Well, they don't deliver up here, do they?
I'll fetch it up from the canteen for you.
Oh, Mr. Harmon, that is good of you.
Right, I'll be off then.
Well, I'll just see you out.
Yeah, right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes?
I forgot to plug in the phone.
Can you do that?
Oh, yeah. I can give you an outside line or an internal one, see? It's a very nice place you've got here, isn't it?
Oh, and it's ever so easy to run.
Must be worth a bit, being detached.
Whoever can that be? I didn't give anybody my number.
Mrs. Slocombe's residence, Armand the butler here. Yeah, it's Mr. Rumbold for you.
Hello?
Mrs. Slocombe, I am quite aware that young Mr. Grace gave you a tea break so that you could arrange your domestic affairs, but I have called a staff meeting here in my office. If you could be here, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly, Mr. Rumbold. Oh, I better hurry. He sounds right ratty.
Are we all assembled?
Except Mrs. Slocombe, who's been absent for most of the day.
Telltale tit.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
Was it necessary to wear your hat and coat to come down from the 5th floor?
It's very chilly in the goods lift. I hope this isn't going to take long. I've left my front door on the latch.
Yes, well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but the train drivers are going out on strike, and the bus drivers are probably going out in sympathy.
Well, it's nice to know they've got sympathy for someone.
Be that as it may, young Mr. Grace has agreed to close the store early to enable you all to get home before everything shuts down.
That's very generous of him, sir.
May we thank him personally?
I'm afraid he went home half an hour ago.
Your taxi is here, Mr. Rumbold.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, good luck, everybody.
Mr. Rumbold, are you going my way?
I'm sure you'd be the first to know if he was.
And I've only got to go upstairs to my flat, put the kettle on, and have a nice cup of tea in front of the fire with my pussy. Isn't it lucky that none of my friends had the problem of giving me accommodation? This year's fancies are passing fancies. La-dee-da-dum-dee-dee-dee. These my heart understands. La 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 la. I'm dreaming dreams. Oh. Be at this time. Who is it?
It's me, Mr. Humphrey.
But I'm in my nightie.
Well, I can see that.
Oh, just a minute then. I'm sorry to be so long, but you can't be too careful now.
very much.
Now then, would you like to come into the parlour?
Oh, I say.
Well, now, what brings you to these parts?
Well, I got on the bus and we'd only gone about 200 yards and the conductor became very sympathetic and said to us, get off. So I thought, well, I'll just pop in and see Mrs. Slocombe before I start my long 15-mile lonely walk home.
Well, I suppose you could always use my spare room. On the other hand, of course, there might be talk.
I don't think so, not in my case.
Go on, then. Put your feet up, I'll make you a nice cup of tea.
Oh, do you know, that's just what I could do with. You're quite different, aren't you, when you're at home to when you're in the store? Behind your counter you look so stern, and here at home you're all feminine.
Well, I use less makeup at home.
Well, wonder. Can I give you a hand?
No, there's no need.
Oh, I don't mind. I'd like to see your kitchen.
Oh, well, come on, then.
Oh, what a lovely view.
Yes. I love the continent.
Very compact, isn't it?
Well, there's only me since Mr. Slocombe was taken.
Was it very sudden?
Oh, there was no warning at all. The fraud squad came at 8 o'clock. Well, while the kettle's boiling, I'll just show you to your room.
Do you mind leading the way? I've forgotten where the door is.
This way. That's the guest toilet, only it's not connected up.
Very cosy.
Yes, I had a brush salesman staying here. He used to spend hours in there planning his campaigns.
It's got a history then.
Well, this is your little room. It has a half queen-size bed.
Better than no queen at all.
Do you sleep as nature intended?
Mrs. Slocombe, I've never done anything as nature intended.
No, I mean, do you sleep in the all-together?
Why do you ask?
I've got some pyjamas here.
Oh, you've entertained a gentleman visitor before.
These belong to the brush salesman.
Oh, yes, I can see that by the bristles.
That's the jacket.
He was a very big man.
On top, yes. Well, you know, it didn't have a right lot down below. Now, here's your tea's made, and there's a little telly in this cupboard. Oh, I'll just switch your blanket on. There, it'll take the chill off for you.
Mrs. Slocombe, you certainly know how to look after a person.
Well, it's nice to have somebody to care for.
You seem to enjoy it.
I bet your mother does too.
She says it's time I left home.
Well, just for tonight, you have.
Yes, and the way the buses are going, it might be a week.
Oh, a whole week together. Come to think of it, it might not be a bad thing.
You know, I was clearing out our attic at home the other day and I found this old calendar called The Week of Love. It said Monday for meeting, Tuesday for talking, Wednesday for wishing, Thursday for touching, Friday for some reason had been torn out.
Mr. Humphreys, I want you to put yourself completely in my hands.
Mrs. Slocombe, if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, it's not going to be easy for me.
Just pretend you're on a camping holiday with a friend.
That wasn't the best suggestion you could make.
Here we are.
Oh, this is nice. What a lovely bedspread. Those bristles get everywhere.
Now just try that bed. It's ever so comfy.
Oh, yeah. It's got a lot of life in it.
There's a lot of life in me as well.
Me mother.
Don't worry. Whoever it is, I'll get rid of him.
Oh, it's all right. I haven't read this one.
Who is it?
Captain Peacock.
Well, I'm in my night attire. You'll have to wait a minute until I find my dressing gown.
Is it a checked one?
Yes.
It's hanging on the hat stand.
Good trick the eye.
I'm sorry to disturb you, but the strike has hit the underground and all the buses have stopped.
Aren't you afraid there might be talk?
As long as that's all there is.
Oh, come in. Wipe your feet.
Well, I thought rather than prowl the streets looking for a hotel, I'd borrow your sofa. You've pipped me to the post.
You're going to have the spare room. It's down there.
You're very hospitable, Mrs. Slocombe. Oh, it looks rather cosy.
I thought you were going to give me the spare room.
You've forgotten, Mr. Humphreys. Your accommodation has been taken care of.
Captain Peacock might see.
Not when the lights are out, he won't.
This will do nicely. I've had a sandwich, so you needn't bother about supper.
I wasn't going to.
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'll turn in.
Oh, well, hurry up then. The sooner the better. Sleep well. All right, I'm coming. Who is it?
It's me, Lucas.
Honestly, it's like running a ruddy hotel. Oh, come on in then. Where have you gone?
I'm here. Where are you?
I'm out here. And hurry up, I'm in my night attire.
I can't work the lock.
You pull it up.
Come in, wipe your feet.
I'm not. I know. You can't get home and you want to spend the night.
Well, fate does seem to have thrown us together, Mrs. Slocombe.
Oh, no, it hasn't. You can sleep in the spare room with Captain Peacock.
Now, it's all right. I'll sleep on the sofa. On second thoughts, I'll sleep with Captain Peacock. Listen, I haven't eaten all day. I suppose a bacon and egg is out of the question.
How did you guess?
I thought it might have been. I'll just lie down and have a quiet rumble.
Thank him for that.
Now then, as soon as they drop off, you can creep into my room. Come in, it's open.
We couldn't get home.
We wondered if you could give us shelter for tonight.
Come in and wipe your feet. I don't know where you're going to sleep. I mean, Captain Peacock and Mr. Lucas are in the spare room and Mr. Humphreys is on the sofa.
I'll go with Peacock. Lucas, you're sleeping on the floor.
It's marvellous, isn't it?
I'll sleep in the bath. After 25 years of marriage, one gets the knack, you know?
Now, see, if we put these two chairs together, Mr. Lucas can sleep across these.
No, he can't. I mean, if he does that, he'll see that you're not on the sofa.
But I am on the sofa.
Yes, but you won't be when everybody's gone to sleep.
We might arouse somebody's suspicion.
At this rate, we'll be lucky if we rouse anything. Who can this be?
With any luck, it'll be the brush salesman.
Don't tell tell me you can't get home and you've come to spend the night?
Well, I don't want to put you out.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to put you out because I've got all the rest staying here and there's no more room.
Well, I don't mind sharing your bed.
Well, it doesn't happen to be convenient.
Oh, well, it wasn't inconvenient when you got stuck at my place and had to share mine.
Well...
I'm not going out on them streets again. I've had 4 proposals between here and the bus stop and they wasn't marriage.
Go on and get in. I've got to share with Miss Brown's.
Oh, I see.
Are you disappointed or relieved?
I'm neither one way or the other.
I'm afraid that's the way you're still going to be in the morning. Oh, well. Good night, chicken. Hope you don't snore. Mr. Humphreys, leave my pussy alone. And I do hope the hat gives every satisfaction.
I'm sure it will, yes.
Anyway, I said to Mr. Rumbold, I said, I don't want to be stood stuck here. I want to be considered for advancement, so he put me down.
Do you mean he told you to up it?
No, he put me down on the list. So if anything comes up in the executive line, I'm in line for it.
If you get promotion, does that mean I'll get your job?
Well, normally they'd give my job to somebody of my age. What's the matter? You look very depressed.
I was just thinking I might not live that long.
Are you being served, sir? Which is a silly question, because I can see that you're not.
I'd like a raincoat, please.
Yes, raincoat rail, Mr. Lucas.
Raincoat rail coming up, Mr. Lovely. Gabardine or plastic, sir?
Plastic, please.
Yes. Now, let me see. You look like a 44 long to me. What colour, sir?
Oh, preferably black.
Yes, you can't go wrong with black.
One black plastic, Mac.
Thank you. Would you like to slip this on?
Thank you very much.
These are very useful. They roll up very small, and you can carry them in your little transparent pixie hood.
Do you have a mirror?
Thank you.
Suitable?
Oh, yes, the colour's perfect. It is a little noisy, though, isn't it?
Do you know, we've never had that complaint before, have we?
No, we haven't, Mr. Humphreys.
You see, I don't want to draw attention to myself.
Perhaps if you did it a bit quicker.
No, the speed is rather critical.
Yeah. Gabardine will be quieter.
Oh. One silent gabardine coming up. You're probably asking yourself, now why does this gentleman have such a specific requirement for a black plastic Mac?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was asking myself that. And I told myself it was none of my business.
You see, I work for a big magazine as a photographer. You know the kind of thing, leaping out on well-known personalities, catching them in an off-guard moment, as it were. Look, let me show you this. Now, there's a remote control button, goes from here, through the pocket of the coat. And all I have to do is to give it the right exposure. Now watch.
Would you mind doing that again?
My friends call me Candid Cameron.
Well, if you wear this, they'll call you Gabardine Angus.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's so much better.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Humphreys, can you spare a moment?
Certainly, Captain Peacock.
What exactly is going on?
Well, this gentleman's practicing his exposure.
Well, I know it takes all sorts to make a world, but may I suggest that you and your friend confine such activities to your leisure hours?
The ambulance has just arrived, Mr. Rumbold, and the stretcher will be up in a couple of seconds.
What do you think it is?
I think it's food poisoning.
Yeah, as soon as I noticed rissoles on the executive dining room menu, I thought to myself, I hope he didn't make that out of Wednesday shepherd's pie, because it wasn't all that cop when it was Lancashire hot pot on Tuesday.
They were fish rissoles.
Ah, well, that was Monday's cod.
I think I've got glands coming up behind my ear.
That's a good job you mentioned that, because we might never have spotted it.
What's going on?
Ambulance men have got into Mr. Rumbold's office. Oh, whatever's happening, Mr. Harmon?
Mr. Rumbold's been taken queer.
Oh. Anything I can do?
Have you any idea what caused it?
Rissoles.
I asked you a perfectly civil question, sir.
Bring him this way, please.
Here he comes.
Oh,
No, get out of the way. Get out of the way.
Oh, I say. Oh, what a shame. He's just had his shoes sold anew.
I think he's going into a coma.
Blimey, don't say I had the treacle pudding as well.
We think it's food poisoning.
poor Mr. Rumbold.
He doesn't look very good, does he?
I had an uncle who had rissoles once and he went stiff all over.
Was that food poisoning?
No, rigor mortis.
May I say on behalf of the department how sorry we all are and wish you a speedy recovery, sir.
If you don't come back, we'll treat you like Nelson. On the spot in the canteen where you fell, we'll have a brass whistle.
Just a moment. Sir, have you set the machinery in motion for a replacement?
No, that'll be up to young Mr. Grace.
Or perhaps you'll put in a good word for me, sir.
Also, I would be most happy to step into your shoes if you wish.
I think the most suitable person to take over in my absence would be...
He was trying to form a name beginning with an S.
What are you talking about? That was his breath escaping.
H. Humphreys, it's me.
He's shaking his head. It's not you.
No.
Lucas, he's trying to say Lucas.
No, he's trying to say loosen his tie. Come on, love. This is Mrs. Slocombe, loosening your tie. Now, can you try and point to the one you want to take over from you?
He's pointing to my legs. It's me.
No, he's passed out. It's a sedative I've given him. Come along, bring him along.
We'll take him down by the service lift.
Good idea. You can give him a short service on the way out.
Well, thank you, Doctor, for letting me know. It was food poisoning.
Oh, he shouldn't have ate that rissole.
Fancy anyone ordering rissoles in our canteen. The man's a fool to himself.
Well, it does put a lot of strain on you, sir. I mean, you was hoping to go away for the bank holiday. Will you be able to have it off now, sir?
What did you say?
Will you be able to have it off now?
It's a bit soon after lunch. Let's do some letters.
Excuse me, Mr. Gracer, but the members of the Ladies and Gentlemen Department is here to ask who you require to take over Mr. Rumbold's office.
Oh, very well.
Mr. Grace will see you now.
Any news of our dear colleague, sir?
Oh, it'll be as right as rain in a couple of weeks.
Have you any idea who's going to take over, Mr. Grace? Bearing in mind that I have applied for promotion on a number of occasions.
And bearing in mind that I have a lifetime's experience.
Ah, yes, well, it's a very important post. Couldn't have anyone as old as you.
With all due deference, there is a precedent for someone of great age holding a position of authority in the store, namely yourself.
Ah, yeah. There's a great difference between you and me.
In what way?
I own the place, you don't.
Well, if you're looking for someone with drive, tact, ingenuity, class and charisma, I know the very person. But he's too modest to mention his name, so I'll just point.
I think ladies ought to be given a chance.
Yes, well, you wait till after the bell and you'll get yours. Now, I've already made some notes. It's in Captain Peacock, TVF. That's too valuable on the floor. Goldberg, P.I.
Practically irreplaceable?
Past it. Got a question mark against Mr. Humphreys.
That's the story of my life.
Miss Brahms. I seem to remember we've got her down as a possible.
No, that's on the other list, sir.
Oh, I see, yes. Mrs. Slocombe, worth trying in a new position. Sounds like the other list as well.
Oh, if I do get it, I'll throw myself into it, body and soul.
Unless you're going to invest in a reinforced chair, Mr. Grace, I just settle for the soul.
I must state here and now that I would not submit to any arrangement whereby Mrs. Slocombe was over me.
Oh, she won't be over you.
Have I got it? Have I got it?
If she has, I shall resign.
She's got it.
As I was saying, I shall resign myself to my fate. But I trust that I shall still be in jurisdiction on the floor.
Done.
Ira, she's got promotion. Does that mean I've got her job?
I would like to point out here and now that Miss Brahms does not have the experience for such a responsible job, and I say that as head of department.
Without any jurisdiction on the floor.
I suggest that you advertise the vacancy for my post.
Yes. Get on to your friend of the tailor and cutter, Mr. Humphreys, and insert an advertisement. A wanted, crabby old bag to be dragon in charge of ladies' intimate apparel. Age indeterminate.
Thank you so much for being so helpful and so quick.
Oh, thank you, Madam. Do call again.
I will, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Third sale this morning, Miss Brahms.
Well, I got the scope now, haven't I? I mean, I never got a look in when she was here.
Your extra supervisor's frills are most becoming.
Oh, thank you, Captain Peacock. I say, she's a bit late, isn't she?
Well, executive staff, or so-called executive staff, are not expected to be in before 9:30. It is now precisely 9:30. Good morning, Mr. Goldberg.
These executive briefcases are heavy.
Brought your sandwiches with you, then?
Captain Peacock, reprimand your junior, would you?
Mr. Lucas, that was very naughty.
Mrs. Slocombe, for you one, to wish you luck the first day in your new job. Nobody deserves it better.
Oh, blue to match my eyes.
I thought they were blue to match your varicose veins.
Now, think on. Any little problem, don't hesitate to ask me.
Mr. Humphreys, if you've quite finished crawling, would you get on with your duty?
Captain Peacock, a member of the staff is having a conflab with a senior executive. Kindly don't interrupt.
You're forgetting, Mr. Slocombe, that I'm in charge on this floor, and that particular member of the staff is under my jurisdiction.
Well, Mr. Grace will have to give a ruling on that point.
Well, in the meantime, if you have anything further to say, Mr. Humphreys, say it and get back to your duties.
Just wanted to say how ladylike Mrs. Slocombe looks, and how nice and restrained she is, considering you're being so aggravating.
When the candidates for my vacant post arrived, show them into my office, would you?
Well, personnel have already informed me that they can't find anyone even remotely interested in taking your position at the ridiculously low wage you're receiving.
Well, they'll just have to pay more then, because Miss Brahms certainly isn't experienced enough to be on her own. Oh,
Cheek. Do you know, I've done twice as much business as her of a morning, and I even haven't had coffee yet.
Your talents have been noted and approved, Miss Brown.
You know, that was the most terrible exhibition of sucking up to teacher I've seen since I was a kid at kindergarten.
I always believe in having friends in high places.
Oh, is that why you went on that climbing holiday with that steeplejack?
He wasn't a steeplejack, he was a lumberjack, and we went potholing. You know, he saved my life when I damaged my equipment on a stalagmite.
Are they the ones that go up?
Well, this one did.
Oh, my own office. I shall stamp my personality on it.
Should you require an emergency cuppa, there's an electric kettle in the bottom left-hand drawer.
What are you doing, Mr. Harmon?
I'm removing Mr. Rumbold's executive soap, face flannel and towel, which is mandatory for the executive Kazi. You, of course, will be supplying your own.
Will I get a key?
Oh, yeah, you get to keep the executive Kazi from Mr. Bancroft, theatre bookings. Will you also be requiring Mr. Rumbold's supplementary supply of meringues?
Oh, yes, they'll come in nice for afternoon tea. I wonder, I've just brought my little camera, and would you mind taking a picture of me at my executive desk?
Yes, certainly, Mrs. Slocombe. Right. Oh, I can get the executive desk, but not both. Could you sit down? Hang on a minute. This is going to be a very, very historical picture. I'll get you the moment you sit. Right? Right. There's a note pinned to it.
I'm sure you'll be a big noise in Grease Brothers. Signed, Mr. Lucas. Oh, well, one little practical joke I can overlook, but I shall have to tell him that he's a naughty boy.
Right, who's with and who's without?
I'm with.
I'm with.
I'm with. Two with.
Thank you.
You're with, aren't you?
No, I've always been without.
And a glass of hot water for you, Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, damn. I've forgotten my indigestion tablets.
Well, never mind. Just drink the hot water and we'll hoist the gale warnings over the counter.
You know, it's not the same without Mrs. Slocombe.
No, it isn't. It's much more pleasant.
I've got news for you, Mr. Goldberg. She's managed to persuade Mr. Grace to cough up for a two-piece made-to-measure executive suit. And you've got to take some patterns to her office at 3 o'clock.
Well, I'm not going. I'll send my junior.
So much for the lunch, Mr. Grace. Perhaps we can continue our discussion on the effects of television on the retail trade tomorrow.
I wasn't talking about that rubbish. I just said I fancied that bird who did the Turkish Delight ads. And, good day, everybody.
Good day, Mr. Grace.
And how's Miss Brown's getting on?
Oh, very well indeed, sir. We don't notice Mrs. Slocombe's absence at all. In fact, the figures are up.
Well, I'm sure that's only temporary. Anyway, I think I'll join my staff for coffee. I'll see you later, Mr. Grace.
Good. Well, you've all done very well.
Thank you, Mrs.
Miss Brahms, you're sitting in my seat.
No, I'm not. This used to be your seat before you was elevated. Now I've got your job. I'm sitting here.
You're getting a bit above yourself, Miss Brahms. And what are you doing with those frills? Those are supervisor's frills, and you're not entitled until you're established. And you're only temporary. And if you don't move over, I'll make you take them off.
You hold your ground.
And you shut your gob.
Mrs. Slocombe, I would deem it an honour if you'd have my seat.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Humphreys. I can see you're going to go a long way.
On his hands and knees.
Would you pass the sugar? Well, what were we all discussing?
The fact that it is 1 minute to 2, time we were all back in the department.
Would you like my spoon, Mrs. Slocombe?
Mr. Humphreys.
Operator, have there been any calls for me? What, none at all? Oh, I see. Well, if there are any calls for me, make sure you put them straight through. I must remember to bring a little cake fork tomorrow. Oh, I'm nasty. Hello, office equipment. This is Mrs. Slocombe, head of gents and ladies apparel. Could you send me up some green blotting paper, please? I mean, this pink muck's so common. You have to supply the pink until it runs out. Well, when will that be? 1992? Thank you very much. Oh, heck. Hello, cosmetics. Miss Cumlosey, please. Oh, hello, Edna, love. It's Mrs. Slocombe. I don't know if you've heard, but I've just been made head of men's and ladies' apparel. And I was wondering, could you possibly send up some samples of cosmetics and toiletries suitable for the executive washroom? Oh, no, love, I couldn't possibly come down there. I'm rushed off my feet with this new department. Oh, thank you. I'm much obliged. Hello, Miss Bronze.
Hello?
This is Betty here, dear. I'm sorry I was a bit short with you at the dinner table, but I've been rushed off my feet.
Well, what have you phoned me for?
Well, I missed our little morning chat, and I was wondering if you'd like to pop in for a cup of tea. You'll never guess what happened to me and Mrs. Axelby last night. We went to this roller disco.
I haven't got time now. I've got a £3,000 fur coat customer.
But I've saved you a meringue.
And I've got a crocodile handbag waiting.
I see. Have you taken those frills off your blouse yet?
No.
Well, see to it. Just a moment. Enter. Yes, you have my authority to proceed with that order, but I want delivery in 3 days or you can forget it. I'm sorry, that's my last word.
She's a tartar, isn't she?
Especially when there's nobody on the other end of the phone. She's still got her finger on the wrist.
Well, if John Lewis can make you a better offer, I suggest you get on with it. But don't come running back to me. Oh, have you come about the suit?
Yes, Mrs. Slocombe, I brought the swatches. Now, may I suggest a nice 16-ounce worsted in a charcoal grey? It's very executive.
Yeah, it'll go very nicely with a bowler hat and rolled umbrella.
You're here to take the measurements, Mr. Lucas. There's no need for comment.
Oh, yes, I like that. And stripes are very slimming, aren't they?
Well, let's put it this way. Have you ever seen a fat zebra?
Shall we just try this one on for the style? This one's double-bosomed. Now, what do you think of the effect?
She looks like Rocky Marciano.
Would you be having trousers or a skirt?
Or black stockings and thigh-length boots.
We're going to ignore you, Mr. Lucas.
You know, it's a pity you're going to ignore me, because I can tell you a very good reason why trousers would suit Mrs. Slocombe.
Why's that?
They'll hide your legs.
One more remark from you and you're out.
Shall we settle for this, then, but in the ladies' style?
Yes, that'll do very nicely.
Measurements, Mr. Lucas.
Measurements coming up, Mr. Humphreys. Breathe out.
I am breathed out.
Why didn't you bring the 60-inch tape?
Because our stock only goes up to 42.
We'll have to improvise. Yeah. 42 and a pencil. Waist?
42 and a rubber.
Hips? Oh, my God. There we are. 42 and the week ending October the 5th.
Enter.
I've brought your samples.
Oh, yes. Would you excuse me? I have to choose my cosmetics and toiletries for the executive powder room.
Oh, well, we'll be off.
Oh, not you, Mr. Humphreys. I'd value your opinion.
Oh, well, tell Captain Peacock I'll be out in a minute.
Certainly. I'll tell Captain Peacock you're helping Mrs. Slocombe choose her new kit for the bob.
Sorry about that, Mrs. Slocombe. Juniors have no finesse.
Oh, yes, it's as common as murk.
Right.
Oh, look at all those soaps. Can I smell that one? Oh, yes. That's a very strong scent.
I sell that to Mr. Davies, head of garden furniture.
Oh, yeah. Is he the one that's always moving his gnomes about?
That's the one.
My mother could do with a gnome.
This has a nice marble finish, so suitable for the environment.
Yes, we must consider the environment. What's the decor?
Well, sort of red plush and Arpic.
Well, now, they start at this end at 50 pence, and they go up at this end to £6.
I'll have this one.
One carbolic, 50 pence. Now we come to the hand towels and flannels. This is your luxury first quality Turkish, modestly priced at £8 each.
It's tough at the top.
I think that's rather ostentatious.
Oh, I agree.
Alternatively, you have your Egyptian, your Lancashire, your Hong Kong, or plain disposable. We have a luxury disposable made from seaweed and plastic waste, indistinguishable from the Turkish.
Feels like sandpaper.
Oh, yes. I should warn you, don't clean your glasses on them or you'll get frosted lenses.
How much?
£1 a dozen.
Done.
Shall you require a lady's razor?
Yeah, she could shave the towels with it.
Certainly not.
I'll have these put on your account. Silly old bitch.
Fancy cat.
Now then, what's it like being in charge?
Well, between you and me, it's not all it's cracked up to be. There's nothing to do, and there's nobody to talk to, and I miss the customers.
Well, couldn't you come back?
Oh, no, that would be to admit failure, and that stuck-up Captain Peacock could never stop laughing at me. But I do miss you all.
Well, you'll have to make up your mind quick, because 2 weeks as management and you're automatically out the union. Then you can't come back.
Well, look, if Miss Brahms's figures dropped, then you could suggest to Captain Peacock that I'm indispensable. Then I could return with honour.
I'll do my best.
Enter.
Excuse me, Mrs. Slocombe. I have to ask you to authorise acceptance of a customer's cheque.
£3,000? What's that for?
Oh, well, here's the bill. It's a fur coat just sold by Miss Brown's.
Probably a flash in the pan.
Would you sign this one too? A crocodile handbag, £340?
You what?
And that set of aquamarine costume jewellery that you say you'd never shift in a month of Sundays, 239, making £3,579 in all. Thank you.
You know, it's not going to be easy for me to convince Captain Peacock that you're indispensable.
Well, I resign. Oh. Slocombe.
Rumbold here.
It's Mr. Rumbold. Just a moment, Mr. Rumbold. How are you? Are you fit to come back?
No, I shall be at least another couple of weeks.
Oh, dear.
Now, pay attention. They've analysed the canteen risotto, and it wasn't that poisoned me.
Well, what was it then?
Well, my wife made some meringues, and it seems that the cream of meringues acted as host to a rather unusual bug. Now, I took 3 of them to work. I ate one of them. And there are two meringues still in the top left-hand drawer of my desk. Don't touch them yourself. Get Harmon to put on a pair of rubber gloves, and then tell him immediately to drop them into a plastic bag, and after that to throw them into the furnace.
Oh, such a pity when you had your foot on the first rung of the management ladder.
Oh, does this mean that I'll have to come back behind the counter?
To be realistic, I'm afraid it does.
It's been no fun here without you to nag me. Hurry up and get well and come back.
Yes, but not before Mr. Rumbold.
How are you feeling, Mrs. Slocombe?
Well, put it this way. My tummy's in turmoil, but my mind's at peace. Lou!
She's trying to say Lucas!
No, I'm not. I want to go to the loo.